My name is Greg Nilgis. Today's video is in support of Sonoran Desert Institute's FTH 223 Hammer-Fired Pistol Course, Module 5 assignment. Today's date is 1 August 2024. No live ammunition workspace. We have a clear feed source, and the firearm is visibly and physically checked to be clear. For part 1 of this video, we're going to demonstrate, use this firearm to demonstrate what we would check to determine the health of the firearm. So for me, the first thing I would do on any firearm is just take a general look at the external condition of the firearm. We're looking for anything that's abnormal, holster wear, rub marks, something like that, not really a big deal. But we're looking for dents, gouges, dings, big scratches, or anything like that that may show the firearm has been abused, and that may give you some condition or some idea of how the firearm was treated through its life. We'd also check the sights to make sure they're secure and free of damage. Again, continuing on with the visual inspection, we go to the magazine, check the body, make sure it's not damaged, dinged, rusted, or anything along those lines. Check the follower, make sure it's free and the spring is free to move. From that, we can perform a function check. Ideally, we'd have snap caps, but for expedience in this video, I didn't bring any snap caps with me. But for a function check, we're really just going to work the action of the firearm to see that everything is moving freely, no binding or any abnormal noises or feel. If we had snap caps, we'd also run it through the cycle of operation, and then we'd also be able to confirm extraction and ejection as well. In addition, we'd check the firing, and we'd also check the safety system, make sure it's operating, and make sure the trigger resets, all those normal things for a function check. Again, for expedience, we won't go through that. We've done that in past videos, assignments. And at that point, we would want to do a field strip on the firearm if at all able. And in this case it is. Field strip the firearm, and with the field strip done, what we can do is now we can do some further checks on the sub-assemblies. So for the barrel, we're looking at the barrel to make sure there's no bulges or any visible issues such as that. We're looking at the crown to make sure the crown is not burred up or anything, and is pretty clean. We can take something, if we don't have a light, we can take something light like this, and the light reflected up off of the white surface will highlight the lands and grooves, and we can look at that as well as the chamber just to check that. We're checking the feed ramp as well on the barrel, make sure it isn't grooved or gouged in any way and is smooth. So going on to the frame assembly, we can check the sub-assembly there. We can take a look if we had something to depress with the depress the firing pin. We could check the condition of the tip of the firing pin. We could also check the operation of the firing pin plunger safety. And then going on to the frame assembly, we could check the operation of, as to the best of our ability, the operation of the subcomponents within the frame assembly to make sure they're operating properly by visually and physically checking to see what they're doing. So that pretty much completes what you would do. That's kind of a rushing through it, but for time constraints, that's where we're at. That's part 1. Part 2 of the video, we're going to talk about key elements within the course of instruction that I felt beneficial. And for number 1, I found the history of the hammer-fired platform and how we got to where we are today in this platform as a beneficial item. Number 2, warm fuzzy in the disassembly and reassembly of the SAR B6, as well as a familiarization with the disassembly and reassembly of the SIG P226. Number 3, strengthen my understanding of the cycle of operation of the hammer-fired platform. And number 4, function of key internal components of the SAR B6, as well as an understanding of which components interact with one another throughout the cycle of operation. And number 5, a comfortable understanding of the manual and firing pin safeties of the B6. Number 6, a basic understanding of some of the differences of the various models of the hammer-fired platform covered in this course. Number 7, a better understanding of the various handgun compensators and how they attach to the firearm in regards to installed via a threaded barrel or the recoil rod or the Picatinny rail or what have you. Number 8, a basic understanding of what is involved in performing a trigger job on the platform and the risk involved. Number 9, an introduction to some of the common modifications that are popular on the platform. And number 10, the importance of doing a function check on the sub-assemblies to the extent possible. So why did I find these beneficial? They were either skills I did not previously have, or they were skills that, due to the course of instruction, I built on my understanding of and grasped the concepts. And how will I further strengthen this knowledge? My intent is to continue to study the hammerfire platform by looking at other manufacturers and designs in hammer-fired firearms, so I can better understand the differences. And after a few of those, I think the follow-on subsequent ones will become a lot more easier to understand. And some of the things I'll use to do that with are reputable social media sources, such as some of those found on YouTube. Understanding that there's as much bad information as there's good out there, and you got to sort through it. Um, Books, I'm a big fan of books because you can refer to them anytime you want. And I also like American Gunsmith Institute's DVD series of advanced armor courses on specific individual firearms / platforms. That's part okay. For part 3 of the video assignment, we're asked to take a look at this firearm, and if we were going to make any modifications to it, what would we do, how much would we charge, and how does that compare with the local competition, so to speak. So there's a couple things I would change on this. I'll add a little bit. My hands aren't that big. They're medium at best. But I find this grip to be a little narrow. So I'd probably put some grip tape on the side panels, and that'll add just a little bit of width or girth to the grip, and I think that would improve it. But that's not what I'm going to focus on. I'd also probably take this firearm apart and do some work on the hammer sear trigger fire control group, basically, to smooth that out a little bit, and not necessarily lighten it, but smoothen out. But for the purpose of this assignment, if I just had to pick one thing to change out, it would be the sights. This firearm has 3-dot white sights on it, and generally speaking, I'm not a big fan of 3-dot sights anyway. Definitely, if they're all the same color, I'm not a fan at all, just because they're a little it's a little slower to pick up your sight picture. Ideally, I would put night sights on it, where the rear sight was still a night sight but blacked out during the daytime, and then obviously illuminated it at night. And the front sight would be a contrasting color. If I didn't put night sights on and went budget, I would still put different sights on. Even if there were 3-dot, I would have the front sight a contrasting color to the rear sights, because it makes it much faster to pick up, in my opinion. And as far as cost goes, I have a sight pusher. I don't see a reason to try this with a drift and a punch. If a person could afford a sight pusher, I have a sight pusher, and I think $25 is a fair price to charge for swapping the sights out. This front sight is looks like it's held on. I haven't looked closely, but either a pin or a very tiny Allen screw. So really, you're drifting this thing out. You're going to have the sight swapped out in a half hour. It would take longer than that to fine tune the windage on it to get it just right, where point of aim, point of impact, left to right was where you want it to be. And if somebody wanted that level of precision, the price would probably go up. But for $25, I think that's fair price. I checked an online local shops online website and their price structure, and they charge $35 across the board for handgun sights. And then the place that I typically receive my FFL transfer firearms, I checked them out. They're a mom and a pop operation, good people. And the gentleman that runs that shop said he charges $20 on the low end upwards, and he didn't give me an upwards amount, but he said a firearm such as a Glock, which this is similar in the sights as far as how they're attached, rear dovetailed, front knot. He said he charges $20. At some firearms, he said, are charge a little more because the manufacturers, I want to say he said SIG or maybe Smith, I forget now. One of them tends to Loctite their dovetailed sight in, which it baffles me why they would do that. Dovetail should hold it securely. So that said, I think my $25 estimated labor fee for sights is comparable to what's out here in the local industry. And again, mine is purely hypothetical because I'm a hobbyist and I'm not trying to make any money. ATF, if you're watching this, please know that's the fact. And that's it for this assignment. That's it for part 3. That's it for this assignment, and that's it for this course. Hope anybody that's watching this has enjoyed it and found it beneficial. Fellow SDI students, keep plugging away. You'll get there.